I was thinking one time, if these birds, see how the cranes have long necks? The confusion of abnormality is daunting throughout all forms of life. The liberty to take such advancements is at hand of free will, trying its best. When it stops short, only the wicked flee. There's animals and there's people, and something smaller than that are what you would call insects or bugs. I would say no, those are still animals. So even smaller than that are bacteria, microbes, and parasites. They're like walking, they're mimicking how I walk as if they're human. And I only know that because they say I walk kind of funny, and these birds are walking kind of funny, like because their knees are backwards. I was trying to tackle something from two angles. The virus is the hell? Ugly sound. Sounds like wood creaking in the winds back and forth. That was the crane. That's what a crane sounds like. Ugh. Imagine waking up to that in the morning. Virus is another form of a parasite, smaller than that. Yes, the respectability of living beings. When you tear down a forest, you get all the forest hard to grow back because it wasn't respected. And that was a big deal when I was a little kid, but no one really cared. And there was one guy who chained himself to a tree, but now he sees how the fight is for human life other than forest life. And the human life is being attacked as these viral, inevitable outbreaks, rather intentional or accidental, doesn't matter. They've weaponized the common cold, and they're saying the common cold is just as dangerous because it has viruses replicate themselves. And this is the second angle I'm trying to attack on. The replication is just as King Midas's touch, where everything turns to gold, to the virus, anything it enters, it becomes itself. Like the Pokemon Ditto, it can change into anything it sees. And Medusa, anything she looks at turns to stone. It's the same thing that the virus is playing with fire as. If you stare into the abyss long enough, you become the abyss. This is what the virus is, and it's stuck in the state with nothing that we have currently to have it be negate. The origins of the most unpredictable is the most favorable when it comes to actions at length. There's Medusa, there's King Midas. What their powers was, they knew indefinitely anything that crossed them would be gold or stone. The King Midas, gold, the Medusa, stone. And it's hard to respect it because it's so small that it's not considered life. So it's just like a tumbleweed that you would kick. More and more confusion starts to surmount. As in a year ago, I would be questioning what a swamp is. The life of a milk pod can be simplified in it being without a brain. The planet Earth, on its scale of human resistance, not being able to see what is and is not swamp-like, can be summarized in the question, why can't you just click the button? Behind me is an electric board, of which has operations synonymously, that would resemble the path that a milkweed seed would project onto a gnat. Whereas if I could put my hand onto the electric board and minimize the swamp activity, if the earth would ask one question, why can't I do that, is only equal to me thinking a milk pod could dismember each gnat that flew near it. Whereas in a more similar element, the most brainiac in the world would ask, is you putting on a mask really fighting a virus? A sewage plant that had gone under construction. A year later, I find massive hives of gnat, more than I've ever seen throughout the land, have now become apparent throughout the majority of it. I question, what is swamp again? I notice there's more trash as multiples of masks are found within each block. More, I question, how much can a swamp be invisible when all the characteristics of it are undeniable? If a milk pod could do with the fleas or gnats, however they could, what would they do to them? Elvira. I had a shirt of Elvira one time. I never knew who she was until I was in college, and I was like, dang, how'd I miss in this one? How that is an embodiment is more than likely because of how odd that those two were. The manifestation is simply because they were one of a kind. Here, I was questioning brownies in a trash can. They weren't brownies in a trash can. They were actually coffee grains in a trash can. Something, how similar is the brownie mix than a coffee grain? Would be just as similar as how much of the DNA of a milk pod, the milkweed pod, is to a brain of someone who thought the mask would be bad if it wasn't an N95. So wearing the fabric mask was a lot better because no one said anything, as opposed to this. And that milkweed is thinking something. It's just we don't know what, because it can't express it as someone can that do not like masks less than a K95.